India. I spoke to Olivier Blum, the global CEO of Schneider Electric, about the company's investment plans, expansion strategy, and role in India's energy transition. Listen in.
Schneider recently announced their results. There has been a growth in revenue. How much, can you just shed some light on the revenue, on the growth in terms of numbers? And also, how much of the revenue growth has come from India? How big of a role has India played in the growth of the company?
Sure. Thanks for having me. First of all, yes, indeed, last week we have announced our results, record revenue of 38 billion euro for the year 2024, and the growth organically has been 8.4, which was slightly above the guidance of 6 to 8 we have announced. And in November 2023, we have announced a kind of 3 years ambition that we will grow through the cycle between 7 and 10%. So it's very well in line with that ambition. So we are quite happy with the performance of 24. India has been a big contributor for the past year. India is the third largest country of Schneider Electric in the world. It will continue definitely to be a strong contributor at double-digit growth. And we are very happy with the momentum we have in India, both with Schneider Electric and Loris Nixon brand, because we have two brands in India, as you probably know.
So you spoke about how India is the third largest for the company, also one of the 4 global hubs for the company, I believe. What are the kind of fresh investment commitments that you're looking at India to, accentuate this growth, increase this from here on?
Yeah, it's very important that you mentioned, because at Schneider Electric we've developed a unique model we call the multi-hub model, where we have decided not to have one headquarter in one place, but to have different hubs in the world. And the goal of those hubs is from R&D to manufacturing to commercial, to be closer to the local market, to create more proximity. And in a world, where you have a lot of volatility today, we found that model quite effective. So in India, we have 38,000 employees, 6,000 of them are in R&D, doing R&D for the local market, but also supporting the other region of Schneider Electric. And we want that role definitely to keep growing in the future for Schneider Electric. It's super important that we do more development in India for India, but India also for the rest of the world. So that's very, very important for us. So we'll keep doing it. In terms of investment, we have invested in R&D. We have invested also in supply chain, because we want also in the long term, and I cannot give you a specific number for India, but we want more or less in each region of the world. So that's not India, but each region of the world. So we'll take in that case the Middle East Asia region. We want to have 90% of what we sell to be manufactured locally. In India, we have already 31 factories in these countries, and we plan to add 3 more. Which are in progress. So that's basically what we are planning for in the investment.
So basically, Make in India, Make for the World is the plan from here as well?
India for India, India for the region. In some cases, absolutely, there are some of the UPS we sell in data center everywhere in the world, which are made in Bangalore, for instance. So it's 3 levels. It's really India for the region, and India for the world, absolutely.
Can you also touch upon the 31 manufacturing sites that you spoke about? What are what more is in the pipeline? Are there more of, the Hyderabad factories commonly talked about? What is there in the pipeline for Schneider, particularly in India, to enhance this export capability?
All the product range of Schneider are growing, so it's not that there is one which is more than important, but if you want me to mention one specific example, Schneider Electric is one of the largest players in data center. 24% of our orders globally last year have been made in data center. In data center, you have low voltage, medium voltage, digital building technology, UPS technology, cooling technology, and we have decided to make India one of our important centers for all UPS and cooling technology, so that a place in particular where we are going to invest more in India, for India, but for the rest of the world.
Okay, so are there any partnerships, Olivier, that you're looking at, any marquee projects for this particularly? Also, are there any talks on the policy front with the government of India? Because there are a lot of things happening in India, energy transition being one, and how important do you think Schneider can play a role in something that India has constantly spoken about, energy transition, and is going big on when it comes to policy?
Well, look, we are in constant touch, with Indian government, and we love to support all the initiative. As you know, India has made a big move a couple of years ago on renewable. Yeah. So we really provide equipment support on all those projects everywhere in the country. The country has delivered already a part of the roadmap. There is more to come, as you know, to reach a 500 gigawatt. But that part is a part where we are an active contributor. We try to contribute also with the government every time they want to put policy on energy saving, on how you contribute to make home building and so on and so forth more energy efficient. We were glad, by the way, to welcome the power minister yesterday in Electrama, and that's why I'm in India, you know, to show all the technology we can contribute. So we are definitely an active number, and through the IMA Association, which is the Association of Electrical Manufacturers, we want Schneider Electric to play a big role to make sure we continue to innovate and bring the best standard that we can in the India industry, for sure.
So the 2070 net zero targets seem achievable to you. What is the kind of things that Schneider can possibly do till then to accelerate this net zero emission goals that India has?
You know, it's impressive, and you know very well this country better than I know, but I spent 6 years of my life in India, you know, from 2008 to 2014, and when I look at where we are today, we have done probably in India more than I thought what we would have been done in 2008. So when you look at the way India as a country has embraced net zero, it's impressive. There is something, you know, the people never know. If you want to be net zero at one point of time as a country, as an organization, you have to work both on the supply and demand. And what India is doing, which is really quite unique, is to work quite a lot on the supply side to bring more access to renewable, to replace fossil fuel by renewable, but there is a lot on the demand, on energy efficiency, on how you can save energy. And the country is acting on those two fronts. And Schneider Electric is a big contributor on the demand side to make a data center more energy efficient, to make a building more energy efficient, and we have plenty of customers in the country which are embracing both supply renewable but also energy efficiency. So I don't know if 2070 is achievable, is it before, is it after, but definitely the commitment from the country and the entire industry is quite big in India. So it's very, very encouraging.
Let me also touch upon something that you said. You've spent quite a lot of time in India. Let me just ask you, in the last 1 decade, when you were here and now that you come back, how has India changed from a policy perspective, from a markets perspective, from a perspective of the kind of work that has been done? Do you see an acceleration, and how do you think the country is changing, and how is it good for corporates and specifically in this space?
Huge. It's huge. Yeah. You know, I can just give you a couple of examples. Just look at the tax system. You know, there was a point of time there was not a global tax system in the country where it was complicated to move goods from one state to another one. It's much simpler. So there is really a first chapter which is around regulation, around simplification. It's becoming easier to do business in India. It's not only for the multinational, by the way, as you know, it's also for the local countries. So that's the first item. The second item, we talked already about it, is everything that has been done around the energy topic. We see clearly the government taking a strong stand, putting a long-term ambition, and the private sector following. It's very important. The third point, which is very, very important, when I was living in India, I can tell you somewhere India was a bit behind on the digital front. Yeah. People were not leveraging e-commerce. We were not using mobile phone to order, to pay, and so on and so forth. In a span of 10 years, it's moved from nothing to everything. So, for instance, at Schneider Electric, we use marketplace, you know, to bring our customer to select product, and then we send the customer to buy from our partners in India. The marketplace we have in India is the biggest one we have in the world for Schneider Electric. That's a place where we innovate, and that's why I keep coming back to India, because we do innovate a lot of India, which is great for our business for India, but we leverage those innovations everywhere else in the world.
But do you see the boom of quick commerce and e-commerce, as you said, leveraging that growth through this boom of technology, AI, and tech-driven platforms? As I said, quick commerce is one thing that India has been leading the charge with. How do you see companies like Schneider Electric benefiting from this rapid growth in technology in India?
You know, I told you it's now the third largest country of Schneider Electric. When I came to India in 2008, I cannot tell you even if it was in the top 10 of Schneider Electric. So we are benefiting. We are benefiting on all fronts. We are benefiting because the energy sector, as we said, is booming. We are benefiting because digital is booming. So that helps us to transact in a much more effective manner with our customer. We are benefiting because the more you use data, the more you need data center. And Schneider Electric is one of the largest providers of solution and infrastructure, both on the electrical and digital side. So we are benefiting all the way. Now, at the same time, you know, we are one of these multinationals who have been really very ambitious in India. I always say in India, you have to stick to India in good and bad time. And we are one of these companies. So, of course, we are benefiting, but I guess it's well deserved somewhere because we have been a strong early believer of the country, And again, 38,000 employees today. We are developing talent, we are training talent. So for us, it's a great story, and we are happy to continue this great story.
Now, Schneider Electric is betting big on India with many new manufacturing facilities in the pipeline and a push to make the country a key global hub. But what about the bigger picture? Coming up after the break, Olivier Blum talks about India's role in AI, digitization, and how Schneider plans to capitalize on the next big tech wave. Stay with us. Welcome back. Before the break, we spoke about Schneider Electric's growing footprint in India and its investment strategy. But how does India stack up in the global AI and digitization race? And what role can companies like Schneider play in shaping the future? Let's go back to my conversation with Olivier Blum.
AI, digitization, technology is booming all across the world. Artificial intelligence is something that is a buzzword across the world, not just in India. What are the kind of hindrances and challenges that you see particularly in India? Because you are a global player and a lot of the countries are taking big strides, huge strides. Look at China, look at the United States as of course. Where do you see are the loopholes? Do you think that Indian government and the corporate sector needs to push on the AI and digitization front where it can become better from here?
Look, the demand for AI is huge.
Yeah.
The adoption is huge. I don't know if you are aware, but it took 2 months to get to 100 million users of AI, which is equivalent of 7 years for the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see the magnitude.
Yeah.
What we see since 1 year is just accelerating everywhere. So AI is not just a dream anymore. AI is a new technology, and you have plenty of technology providers that is going to change the way you do business, that is going to impact your life, my life, all of us. What is the impact of AI? AI will require different type of infrastructure because the type of data center you need to support AI will require a much bigger density in terms of power. It will require some cooling system which are very different from a technology standpoint. It used to be air cooling system, it will have to move to liquid cooling. So it's changing everything. So what is the major challenge is to make sure that we provide access to power. It has to be electrical power, it has to be power which is green, and also a lot of new technology. So what is expected from the entire industry is to work together and to co-design the data center of the future will be more efficient. If you look just at the theoretical sum of the power which is needed to support AI in the next 5-10 years, it does not work. So we'll have to be much more energy efficient to make it happen everywhere in the world. And it's not different in India from the rest of the world.
But how important is grid modernization in this entire process, and where does Schneider stand on that? India's power grid has been increasing. I believe it's reached 200 plus gigawatt now. That is the latest number. How important and how crucial is the grid modernization right now for the energy transition to take place, and how important is the role of companies like Schneider?
It is super important, and I'll keep it short not to make it too complicated, but we have been all living in a world which was very traditional, where you have production, generation of energy on one side, you transport, you consume. You have to know that you can lose up to 50-60% of what has been produced. That does not work anymore. Okay. So what you call grid modernization means different things. It means, first of all, you bring much more renewable. That's one. You make sure at the end of the day, also at the consumer level, you start to produce energy. And India is a good example. You see more and more people having solar panel, producing energy, storing energy. So all of that has to change. So the flexibility you need to bring to the grid to be not only one direction, but to be bi-directional and to see how we manage that, which is what we call at Schneider the concept of prosumer. You produce energy, you consume energy, you can store, you can send back to the grid. So all of that is changing everywhere in the world. So the government is working a lot on this grid flexibility, which is very important. And that's why we always say at Schneider, the future is about electrification and digitalization. Electrifying without digitalization is not good enough.
Well, speaking about the global value chains now, Olivier, there has been slight shift. Slight is an understatement, but there has been a shift in the geopolitical scenario that we've seen in the last couple of months. A lot of countries are worried. A lot of countries are seeing it as an opportunity for a multinational like you. How do you see the United States tariff situation going on, particularly for the big markets that you are present in, specifically for India? Is it concerning? Is it worrisome for you?
So first of all, it's not new. Let's keep in mind that this question of tariff has been on the table a couple of years ago already. It was there in the US, sometimes it's in other countries. It can be the US, you can have reciprocity. For us at Schneider Electric, since 10 years plus, we build what I explained at the beginning, this multi-hub model, which allows us to be very local and regional. So when I was telling you before that we plan at Schneider Electric and we are well on track to manufacture 90% of what we sell in each region, that makes us much more resilient on all this question of tariff. Now, are we concerned? Of course we are concerned. We are watching, we are looking at that. You know, it keeps on evolving every day. So I think it's far too early to take any conclusion. What we've said to our financial investor last week, we said that we are confident that whatever will be the tariffs will protect our profitability in line with the guidance. So just to tell you that, of course, we are concerned, but the magnitude will not impact bottom line what we plan to achieve in profitability this year. But of course, we are following closely.
So profitability, bottom line, everything is sorted from your end. India is a big market. It's still the third largest. How far do you see it becoming the first or the second largest now? What are the, if you can give me a sense of conclusion in this, what are the key numbers? How big do you think it's going to be in the next 5 years? And how soon do you expect India to rise up the rank from the third to the second to the first for Schneider Electric?
So first, you could buy more Schneider Electric products for your home. That will help me to achieve this ambition. But at the end of the day, you know, I've been following, as you know, this country for very, very long. And we are very confident because there is really a very stable plan. You know, always you can have up and down depending on the year, but the direction is great. Of course, India is the largest population in the world. You see a huge increase in urbanization. You see a huge increase in digitalization. So all of that. Now, to tell you whether one day it will be number one or number two, I don't know. Number one will be difficult because US is still the largest market in the world. So that will be probably difficult to get there.
When do you see the number two happening?
Number two, you know, it's a competition between China and India. I don't know. It's very difficult to say. But I can tell you, I'm very confident that India will stay in the top three, maybe one day top two, I don't know, but we are very confident, and our plan, you know, across the cycle for Schneider Electric as a company is to grow 7 to 10%, and I do believe that India will be always more on the higher part of the range than the lowest one. You know, that's the ambition.
Okay, Olivier, last question to you is the fact that globally a lot of things are happening, a lot of, as we said, things are moving too fast. We are keeping a watch on the situation. But what do you see? What is the outlook for 2025? Not from your perspective, from the company's perspective, from the entire energy transition space, energy space in general, electrical space in general. How do you see? What are the kind of headwinds that you see in the markets across the globe? Also, what are the opportunities, and where are the opportunities that you see right now?
So at that point of time, we see more opportunity, frankly speaking, than threats, because the need for electrification, again, is increasing everywhere in the world. You were talking about the US. Even in the US, you see a huge need for infrastructure, for manufacturing, for buildings which require more electricity, more power. And we see the same, frankly speaking, everywhere in the world. So we are not too concerned by the geopolitical concern. Of course, you can never predict if one day you have a war somewhere in the world. That definitely could impact potentially our plan for 25. But the more important, you know, we speak to customers. We look together at our customer, we look at their pipeline and their project. At that point of time, we don't see any major slowdown. But we are watching the situation carefully. You know, we are in a world with a lot of volatility at that point of time, but still very confident for 25.
Well, Schneider Electric is not just expanding in India, it's innovating here for the world. With a strong focus on energy transition, AI-driven infrastructure and localized manufacturing, the company is betting on India like never before. As India accelerates its digital and energy transformation, global players like Schneider will be at the center of this evolution. That's a wrap on this special conversation. Thank you for watching.